Hey guys, Scales here with a introduction into Flash animation. We are switching programs. We are going to be switching to the Adobe Flash program. The icon looks like this. We're going to be in version CS6 today, and we're going to do a very quick introduction into Flash, and we're going to do an activity today called the Shape Tween. I have provided for you a written tutorial, but I wanted to give you a video tutorial as well. We're under our animation projects, and we're going to be completing the first of these series called the Shape Tween. We're going to have a letter or something morph into a shape. There's the tutorial for you whenever you're ready for it. But we're going to launch Flash, and we're going to get started. So we're going to start a new window. When you open up Flash, this is the screen you're going to see, and we are going to be choosing an ActionScript 3.0 for our Shape Tween. All right. When you start in Flash, it's going to look very similar to this. You want to kind of keep your timeline at the bottom. Your properties, this is our timeline. Our properties is over here to the right. Our toolbar is all the way to the very far right, like in Photoshop, but we're used to seeing our toolbar on the left-hand side. And our canvas is up here in the middle. What we called a canvas in Photoshop, we call a stage here in Flash animation. So to start with, we are going to get our text tool, which is over here on the right-hand side. And we're going to just simply select that tool. And on our stage, we're going to click and create a simple text box. Unlike in Photoshop, you don't have to drag a box out. We can just click and start typing, and the box will accommodate whatever size font we end up choosing. All right, so I'm going to just click anywhere here in the middle, and I'm going to type in a letter. And once I have my letter in, I'm going to manipulate that font in order to make it a little bit bigger. It's a little small right now. I'm going to highlight my letter, and I'm going to come over here to my properties toolbar, and I have the ability to change my font and my font size. So I'm just going to come in here and type in 100 for my font size so that it gets nice and big. If you want to move it over, you can make it bigger or smaller, kind of depending on what it is you're looking for. It doesn't have to be, there's no right or wrong answer for this. So I'm going to make mine just a little bit bigger so you guys can see. Okay. I'm going to get my pointer tool and I'm going to move it up here into the middle. I can also change the font color. I can choose any of these font colors that are built in. I'm going to go NC State Red. And I can choose any fonts that are built onto my computer. So you can choose anything that interests you. It doesn't have to be the font that you start with. So I'm going to choose Pacifico. I like that font. And once I get my box the way I want it to, I'm going to right click on my box and I'm going to say break apart. What this is going to do is it's going to stop this from being a solid letter or a solid shape, and it's going to turn it into a bunch of small pixelated points that the computer can use to manipulate or change our letter S into something else later on. So if you see, it's made up of all these little tiny points right now, and that's exactly what we want. So down here on our timeline, we need to give the computer a starting point and a stopping point to work with. We're going to go to frame 10 down here at the bottom, and we're going to do what's called add a keyframe. You can do it two ways. One, you can right click and say insert keyframe, or you can hit F6 on your keyboard. When you do that, it's going to add another little black dot. These are my keyframes. And so on frame 1, I have my letter, and on frame 10, I have a letter. On frame 10, I'm going to add a shape on top of my letter. I'm going to get my rectangle tool. I'm going to choose the color I want. I'm going to go with gray. And I'm going to create a box on top of my letter S, covering it completely. All I'm going to do then is come down to layer 1, and I'm going to hold down my shift key, and I'm going to click from frame 1 to frame 10. So basically selecting everything on that layer. I'm going to right click and I'm going to say create a shape tween, create a shape tween. And when I do that, it's going to change it to a green box with an arrow showing me that I now have animation. So when I hit return on my keyboard, it's going to play and it's going to morph my letter S into the gray box that I created. That goes a little fast. I'm going to drag this out so you can kind of see it go a little slower. And that's all you have to do. So I want you to complete one and then do a second letter with a new shape on top of it. When you're done, raise your hand, show it to me, Scales, and I'll give you credit for it. You can then next go on to your motion path. Good job.